I am coming on live to do a tutorial on cross stitch. Obviously a lot of what I put onto the page is my cross stitch creations, and I get a lot of requests on how did you do that. I used to cross stitch, don't know how to do it now, blah blah blah, you know, all that. So I thought I'd come on and show you. Now first things first, I'm going to have to log in to YouTube on the computer so I can see your comments, because once I start I'll be turning the phone down to the work so you can, that's what I want, so you can see what I'm doing, so then I can see the chat. Right, so the chat's there. I am going to share this to live. I got, and then hopefully we'll get a few people in and we can get the sewing going. So if you're there, let me know. At the minute it's just me there. It says no people, but as I'm on there, well, anyway, doesn't matter. Right, if you're there, let me know. And then we can get started. I'm a little bit early, but you know, when you're sitting here going, right, well, I'm ready now, I'm ready to go. So how's everybody doing? Here's Rebecca. Hey Becca, how you doing? I know I'm a bit early, but I was just sitting here ready to go, and I thought, no, just get going, just people will come on. So I thought we could have a chat first, and then we can get going in a bit when we've got a few people on. So you okay? It says I'm a mod. Will I keep an eye on chat? If you wouldn't mind, yes please. That was from the one we had not so long ago. So yeah, you tend to get a lot more weirdos on this channel than on the other one. Don't know why. Perhaps I've just been lucky. So yeah, there we go. Don't even know if you can have people come on. So I've got 4 people on. Can you just let me know who's on, so I know when to start? Just if you're in my TikTok-y thingy. Hi William, this is not going to be writing today. This is going to be cross stitch. You are more than welcome to join us. So yeah, but if you're in my TikTok group, it'd be nice to know if you're there, so that I can get going when the people who really wanted me to do this are here. So, well, apparently I've got 13 people watching me now. So let me know who you are. Let me know if you're following me on the other channel, so I know who's in. Hi, Common Carp. There's Elle. Well done, Elle. How are you doing? Okay, so I've got the 2 people on here that I wanted most from my TikTok, and then lots of other people. So it's good to see everybody. Welcome in. We're going to be doing a bit of cross stitching. There's a little arrow, but don't worry too much about it. Hello. Let's just get going, and then obviously people can watch it afterwards. So I'm going to turn my phone down now. You won't be able to see me. You'll be able to see the sewing, but I can see your comments because I've got Luke's YouTube up as well. Okay, so those of you who know me know I don't like sewing on a hoop, but for the purposes of this video, a hoop is necessary. So what I've done is I've got a bookmark shaped piece of material, and I've deliberately gone for the bigger squares so that you can see it more clearly. It's called 11 counts. Most cross stitches that you buy are on a 14 count, and it refers to the amount of squares per square inch. So obviously the smaller the number, so 11 count is bigger holes, if you like, bigger squares. Okay, so if you can't see this, or you need me to do anything like move the camera or anything, just let me know. I will try and make it as clear as possible. Those of you who know me know that I struggle with my worms sometimes. So I'm going to really focus on casting on and casting off today, because they are the two things you need to be able to do well and that seem to cause the most amount of trouble, even though once you know how to do them, they're very, very simple. So when you're first starting, there are lots of different ways of casting on, but you have to master the basic one. Don't run before you can walk. Not look at anybody, Becca. So in order to work to do casting on the most efficiently, you're going to come in from the back. Okay, so here's the back, here's the front. You're going to come in from the back in your bottom left square from where you're going to start sewing. So you pull the needle almost all the way through. So you've got a tail. Let's see the tail. Okay, so as you get better at it, the tail will get shorter. So just leave that tail there. Okay, then you're going to go into the top right hole of your stitch. Okay, this is called a half cross stitch. I'll make sure you can see that actually, because I've not got that quite in the right place, have I? But there's your stitch. Okay, and then at the back you've still got your tail, and then the long bit of thread. Okay, long bit of thread. Now you're going to come in bottom left of the next square. So, oops, there is where your needle's going to come in. Yeah? Does that make sense? Sorry, I keep missing the camera. Let me just turn that way a bit. So, can you see that? There's your first stitch, and then you're going to come bottom left of the next stitch. Pull the thread through, and as you pull it through on the back, make sure it catches that tail. There you go. You've cast on. Hello, Vicky. Welcome in. Yeah. Well, yes, Ellie. Right. So now you're going to do another stitch. It depends on how you cross stitch. I'll show you this way first, and then I'll show you the other way. Okay. So if you cross stitch the English way, you're going to do lots of stitches that way. So you're going to do half stitches each time. Certainly for the first 3, make sure you catch that tail. Make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, so now you've got 2. Tell me if I'm going too fast or you can't see anything. Hi, Francis. Okay, so now you've got 3. So catch that tail one more time. Bring that. I wonder if I can make that a bit bigger on the screen. I don't think I can. I know, it's because it's on the screen, Elle. Right. So you can see now I have caught that 3 times. That is not going anywhere. I could use that as a lasso and it wouldn't go anywhere. Okay. So now you're just going to, if that's the amount of stitches you want to do. Apologies. My son is just taking a call. Let me just shut the door. 1 second. There we go. Keep the noise down, eh? Right. So, can you see that? Any questions? Any comments? Is everybody happy with what we've done so far? I know I'm not very good at getting this in the right place, am I? There. Has everybody seen that? Anybody there? Anybody answering? Becca? Yes? Seen that? Yes? Ellie? Yes? Elle, I mean. Anybody there? I'm not getting any response. Well, I'll just come back then. 1. So now we have a cross. And then we go back and do another cross. You can see that. Okay, good. Becca, are you there? This is for you. Ooh. Right. So that is the basic way to cast on. And until you master that one, there's no point doing any of the others, because the others work, but not all the time. You'll always get knots in your thread as well, especially if you're using cheap thread like I am. Most of the time they just pull out. So, you happy with that? Hey Gemma, welcome in. I guess Becca is not in anymore. Right, obviously it's quite small on the phone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just show you how to cast that off, and then I'm going to do it double the size. So to cast off, it's just the opposite to casting on, really. So there's your stitches. All you do is put your needle through the stitches and pull it through. I recommend 3 stitches if you can, just because that makes sure it's not going anywhere. And then you cut it off. There you go. Sorted. Okay, so now let's do that bigger. Okay. So we're going to do it over a two square space. So come in bottom left, up to top right, and you're leaving a tail. Yes. Obviously not that long. No. But pull that through. So your tail's about that long. Then you're going to go, I'll show you from the front. Then you're going to go bottom left of your second stitch, okay, which is going to be there. And you're going to pull the loop through on the back, catch that tail. There you go. Yeah, maybe. And then you just keep sewing. And making sure each time you catch that tail at the back. Okay. There we go. Putting the loop through at the back. Ooh. These scissors out of the way. Yeah, those of you who know me will know I don't sew with a hoop. So I'm sorry if it's all a bit cack-handed. I don't sew with a hoop. I just thought it would be easier for you guys to see it with the hoop. So there's the second stitch. I'd normally do 3. I'm not sure I'll get it with a third, but we'll give it a go. Once again, pull it through. And then back in again, bottom left of the next stitch. Or in this case, catch that tail, might just catch it. Because it's double the size of usual. There you go, just caught it. Look at that. Okay, so you've now got 3 stitches. So we're going to go back the other way now and just complete the crosses. And you just do the stitch in opposite. There we go. Sorry, I'm looking backwards here. So there we go. Knot, just like I say, this is cheap thread, and cheap thread knots more than good quality thread does. And there you go. And there's your 3 stitches. So you can see exactly the same as above there, just a bit bigger. Any questions? Okay, so let's cast that off. Exactly the same as casting on, just in reverse. So you just thread your needle under the stitches and pull it through. And that's casting off. So there's nothing complicated about that. It couldn't be easier, really. It's a bit, faffy until you've got the hang of it. But that's casting on the basic way, the way that you need to learn before you learn any other casting on. So it's fairly simple. basically pull up from the bottom, leave a tail, catch the tail in the next 3 stitches. Now, there is another way to cast on. You would only do this if you were using even numbers of thread. So when you're cross stitching and you're using thread like this, one piece of thread divides into 6 strands. Normally on a kit, if you've bought a kit and you're using that, it's what's called 14 count. So it's slightly smaller than this in hot spacing. On a 14 count, you would use 2 pieces of thread. So you would divide those 6 into 2 and 4. And then you would pull each one out individually. If you pull it out any other way, you'll get a knot. So you just pull the thread out individually. I'll show you it later when I get onto a kit. So normally, if you're doing a normal cross stitch, you'll pull out 2 pieces of thread. And then you'll cast on this way, the way I've just shown you. This next way I'm going to show you is slightly different. So you take out 1 piece, you'd make it longer if you could. And then you would fold that 1 piece in half. So at one end you have a loop, and then at the other end you have 2 ends. Does that make sense? You would then, hopefully, thread your 2 ends into your needle. I will try and do this with this needle. This is really thick thread, deliberately so that you could see it. It might be too thick to pull through though. So let's do it one at a time. Ignore this next bit, just whisper amongst yourselves. One. But you would pull both ends through the eye of the needle. Okay, so what you've now got is your 2 loose ends, or your 2 cut ends like that, which will obviously, ignore my orangey thumbnail. I had an orange before I came on and it's made my fingers orange. Right, so you've now got your 2 cut ends, and then at the other end you've got your loop. Okay, so keep the loop at the long end of the needle and your cut ends short like that. Okay, I'm just going to just for aesthetics there. Okay, this is called the loop cast on, and it only works when you can take 1 piece of thread and fold it in half, and instead of coming up from the bottom, you're going to go in from the top. So you're going to go in through your bottom left square, pulling it almost all the way through, leaving your loop out like that. Okay, then we are going to go to the top right square with our left hand. So come through. As you come through, catch the loop and pull your needle through, and essentially all you're doing there is creating a slip knot. Now, the beauty of that is none of this at the back. It's very tidy. It's just a single stitch. Okay. Your needle's on the front. You need it to be on the back. So all you're going to do is go back down the same stitch as you just came up. The loop, because you've gone through the loop, will stop the whole of the thread getting pulled back through. You'll see. There you go. So now you've got a single stitch with none of this. It's very simple, very tidy. It's a great way to cast on. And then you would just continue sewing as usual. You don't have to worry about catching ends. You just sew. And everything's pretty and gorgeous. Yes? Everybody happy? I'm not getting a whole lot of feedback, so I'm hoping that you're all following what I'm doing. Okay, so there's your 3 stitches with your loop cast on, and we just come back. Finish the 3 stitches. Oh, goodness me. 1, 2, 2. Sorry, left-handed and backwards. Trying to get into that. There we go. Make sure you can see it. 3. Okay. So there is your 3 stitches. Got a little knot here. Hang on, let me pull that out and then you'll be able to see how tidy it is. And that's why the loop stitch is so nice, because it is so tidy. So there we go. Okay. And then casting off just the same. But now when we're casting off, I mean, not because it's a loop stitch, just because I like it to look tidy. You can also catch the weave of the Aida underneath if you want to, but I will show you that on another one. Okay. Oh, the trouble I'm having is just because I've used really thick thread to try and show you this. Like, I'll get it to come through. Oh. Anyway, you get the message. So you would feed under there. I'm just going to see if I can do it on 1 stitch rather than... It's coming part way through, but not all the way. There we go. Okay. Right. So that's cast off now. Just cut it. And now you will see why loop stitch isn't always useful. Because now I've cut my loop. So I haven't got a loop to go into, you know, to use to start again. So if I hadn't been able to do that, I wouldn't now be able to cast on. Does that make sense? Is anybody there? Is anybody listening? So, because now we've cut the end off where we've finished our work with no loop, so we've got to go back to this way of casting on. So we come up from the bottom and catch the thread. There is another way to cast on, definitely not for beginners. It does take some getting used to. I've been cross-stitching for probably 35, 40 years. And when I saw this, it took me a little while to figure it out. And that was recently, and I learned it on a social media site. So your material here is woven. So you can see some of the threads, run up and down, and some of the threads run left to right. So you can see there, I can go in between the top layer of threads and the bottom layer of threads. And then actually what I am going to do to make this easy on myself is just make this 1 thread. Okay. Okay. So that's the same width as 2 of these. Really, it's actually the same as 3, but I'm not going to get into details now. So I'm going to put my needle up in between the top layer of the weave and the bottom layer of the weave. So you can see it hasn't come through underneath. It's just going through the top layer of the weave. And then I'm going to pull my needle through. Ooh, I can grab it. All the way through so that the very end of the tail is just underneath that weave where you've just pulled your needle. I may have just pulled that too far, so I'm just going to do that again. Okay, so all the way through. I mean, you can do it so your tail is sticking out and then just cut your tail off if you want to. I'm lazy, what can I say? So you can see the tail is just there. Now I'm going to put my needle, I'm going to catch the thread, and I'm going to put my needle all the way through the material like that. So you can see I've gone through the thread. Does that make sense? Hey, Corey's Outdoor Adventures, how are you? Right, pull through and you will see you'll have a tiny, teeny, tiny little stitch. Okay, but that's secure now. So now you can just go through and cross stitch as usual. And your cross, let me just do a couple and then I'll come back. But your cross will hide that tiny stitch that you've just made, so nobody will be able to see it. There you go. And that's another way to cast on. Like I say, not for beginners, because it does take a little bit getting used to. You got that, Francis. Thank you. To how I do it, lol. Sorry, I missed that first word, Francis. Much easier. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I mean, if you're not a confident cross stitcher, I wouldn't even attempt that. The loop is the easiest one, but you can't always use it. So if you can do loop and then use this one as your backup, that's perfect. But going through the front, it just takes a bit of getting used to. That's all. It is easy, and it's the one I use all the time now. I mean, obviously, if I can use a loop, I will, but I use that one all the time now. But like I say, I've been cross-stitching for 40 years, so, you know. So, again, cast off exactly the same. There is another way to cast off across the front of the stitch. But I don't use it because I don't need to. However, if you're using a big hoop on a stand, let me see if I can do it. Let me just see if I can do it. I haven't done it in years, so let's have a look. I'll probably get lots of ladies from a certain country saying, that's not right. You can't cast off on the front. Okay. Right, let's just catch this. Oh my goodness, it's like Piccadilly Circus outside my house. The M6 has been closed all day. There's been a really serious crash just up the road. And so all the roads in the area are blocked. And there are cars everywhere trying to get away from the traffic and just not succeeding. And now they're crazy, doing stupid things. Oh my goodness. See, I'm not concentrating now. Hang on. Let me do this cast on for you. There we go. Yes, they all think they're going to come up my road to get away from the traffic, but my road's a dead end, so they're not. Okay. That's fine, Becca. You know, you do what you need to do. You can rewatch. Okay, so let me see if I can do this. I haven't done this for years, so I'm going to do a couple of crosses. Let's do 3. Let's give me a bit of room to maneuver. Go back. See? There we go. Okay. Right. Let me see if I can remember how to do this. So you're going to come up. In the middle of the stitch there, like that. And then you're going to go under, as you did here on the cast on, you're going to do the same underneath, like that. And then pull through there, like that. And you are going to cut your thread right there. There you go. So that you would do that if you had your cross stitch on a stand and it wasn't easy to take it off and, you know, cast off. It's not one I use very often. I can't remember the last time I've done that. But yeah, so there you go. There's 3 different cast on methods and 2 different cast off methods. it's about as simple as it can get. You know, there should be no tails on the back. Here you'll have tails, you know, when you're doing it this way, but you can cut them off quite close. With your loops, you shouldn't have any tails. You know, so nice and tidy, nice and neat. And they're the best ways that I find to cast on and off. So any questions, please just pop them in the chat. But I hope that makes casting on and casting off simple. If you want me to do the loop cast on in like this one, big, just pop it in the chat. If not, I can leave it, and hopefully that makes some sense to you. So there's your back, there's your front. So that's that. What I thought I'd quickly also show you is what a kit looks like. So I have got all these kits from Painting Fairy Cross Stitch. And if you go to my link tree, there's an affiliate link there and you get a bit of a discount. I have bought many kits before. I haven't done a lot of printed. I've just come to printed now because purely when I'm away doing an event, I find it very difficult to concentrate on counted because I'm constantly serving customers or talking to people. And if you're doing a counted cross stitch, it literally is that you're counting your stitches. And if you get interrupted, it's very easy to make a mistake. So I bought some printed ones. This one is obviously, you know who that is, Pocket Monster. And so I thought I would just put this on a hoop and do a little bit just to show you how that looks. So this is a printed cross stitch material. You can see it's very different to that because it's got the pattern on there. If you're doing a counted cross stitch, the pattern is piece of paper and you follow the piece of paper. This is already on there. And then with this company, at least, you get a key that's separate from the picture. Sometimes, like this one, the key is printed on the side of material. And that's fine as well. Doesn't really matter. It's, you know, just personal preference. So with the Painting Fairy, you get all of your pattern in paper. So this is what a pattern for a counted cross stitch would look like. You would just follow the paper and not the, you know, the pattern on the material. There are people who use digital versions. You can upload these to a digital something or other. I've never done it. I've always used paper, and I find paper very easy. But again, you'll get lots of snobby people going, oh, if you're doing it that way, you're not a real cross stitcher. But you do cross stitching in whatever way works for you, is my answer to that. Ultimately, what you're aiming for on a cross stitch is for your back of your cross stitch to look pretty much like that, so that you can see the picture that you've cross stitched. There's very little difference. Obviously there is a difference, but that is the ultimate. That's what you're aiming for. It's not always that simple, but you know, you do your best. Okay, so I'm just going to take the needle from over here because this one I've picked up is a bit thin. I think that is a beaded embroidery needle. Let's stick that in the beaded embroidery then. There we go. Okay, so let's get a needle. When you're doing a counted cross stitch, you normally fold your material in quarters and start in the very center and work around it. That's the norm. I pick a place and start there. So again, as I say, whatever you want to do is the right thing to do. Don't ever let anybody tell you that the way you're doing it is wrong. You do it the way you want to do it. So what I think I will do is, just for ease, I'm going to start on this little bit of red here. Now it's red on here, but it won't be red on the picture. They try and differentiate so that when you are sewing it, you can see it. Here's the key. And all your different symbols are down here. And alongside the symbols are a number this side. And then this is the DMC color. DMC is the company that does thread. Or one of the companies that does thread. It's the one I use. And if you're a diamond painter, all those colors are DMC colors. So I am looking for the red cross, which is here. And so I'm looking for number 28 or 977. And on this, we're looking at 977 is here. So do you remember I said when you get your thread like this, you're going to get two threads out. So there's one. And there's another. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side so I don't get tangled. Now let's just pop these back together. Okay. Thread the needle. Okay. Sorted. Put that to one side. Don't need a pattern. All I've got is this. This is all I need. So I am going to cast on the same way as I showed you earlier. Coming in through the bottom left of the first stitch. Pulling through until I've got a little tail at the back. Okay. There we go. Then I'm going to go back into the top right of my stitch. I'm hoping you can see that. Top right of my stitch there. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it over just so you can see. I'm going to pull that through, holding on to that end there. Okay. Oh, I've got a bit of thread caught on the edge of the material there. Told you didn't like working with a frame. Right. Okay. So you can see I've done the first part of the stitch right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go in the bottom right of that first stitch, which is, oh my goodness, there. Okay, so right here, turning, well, I'll put it through a little bit, then I'm going to turn the work over to make sure I catch that tail. Shorten that a little bit. There you go. There you go. That's my cast on. Hey, Michaela, how you doing? So, there we go. That's the first stitch done. And then I'm going to come into the next line. I always work at bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right. And then come back. So that's the, I believe it's called the English way. There is a Scandinavian way, which is where you do each stitch, each cross one at a time. So rather than doing the whole row like this, I'll show you on the next row. So this is bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right. So I've done 3 stitches here. Hope you're impressed with my dexterity, working left-handed and at a right angle to normal. There you go. Hope you can see that. And now I'm going to come back. Now I'm going bottom right, top left. Bottom right. Do you? Yeah, that's the basic way to cast on, Michaela. It's the easiest way, and it's the way everybody needs to learn because it will work in every single situation. The loop way is great, but it'll only work in certain situations. Okay, so now you can see I've done the next row, bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right, then bottom right, top left, bottom right, top left, bottom right. So now I'm going to start this row underneath because it's still all the red X's. So still bottom left, top right. And then instead of doing bottom left, top right again, I'm going to finish the cross. So I'm going to go like that. So you can see I've made a full cross there, and then I'm going to go back here and do the next cross. And there is no right or wrong. You do it the best way for you, but what you always do is make sure your crosses go in the same direction. So you always start bottom left, top right, and your second stitch of the cross is always bottom right, top left, because otherwise it looks awful and untidy. So I hope this is making some sense and you can see what I'm doing. I've got them at the canvas as close to the phone as I can get it and still have it in focus. I hope it makes some sense to you. No, Becca. Have a look back at what I did earlier of the oh dear. Have a look what I did earlier on the video, and you'll be able to see you cast on exactly the same way as you stitch. So you bottom left, top right, bottom left, top right. But I've done it fairly slowly at the beginning bit of the video, so you can just have a watch of that. Now the problem with doing the stitching the way I've just done it, which I like I say, I think it's called the Scandinavian way, but I could be wrong, is that I'm now at this end of the stitching when I work left to right. So all I'm going to do is do my crosses from right to left, but you've got to keep your stitching the same way. So you still want bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. So whichever way you're working on your canvas, your stitches all remain the same way around. They always go bottom left, top right, bottom right, top left. Is everybody happy with that? Yeah, have a look afterwards, Becca, because I've done it on this. I've done it very clearly, very slowly, and you'll be able to see. And you really only need the first cast on method that I showed you. So once again, bottom right, top left. There we go. So you start top right and come down. It's the same stitch though, isn't it? So you go top right, bottom left, but it doesn't matter. As long as you stay going in the right direction, let me rephrase that. As long as you start going in the same direction, it doesn't matter where you start your stitch, as long as your stitches all go in that same direction. That's what I'm saying. So you can see they all the crosses are exactly the same. Okay, does that make sense? So now I'm back at this side, which is, and I prefer to stitch bottom left, top right, and go all the way across and then come all the way back. I prefer that way. But as I've said to you, there is no right way. This is my way. This is how I do it. what's important is what it looks like when you've finished. Okay. There we go. And all the way back across. So all that's happened there is I've pulled something from the behind. So let's have a look. See, when I said you don't want any ends, this is why you don't want any ends, because you catch them. So all I'm going to do with that is just cut that off, so I don't catch those ends, and bring them through. Okay. So continue doing all the way back across. There we go. There we go. And all I would do now is keep going until my piece of thread had finished. I would cast off and then I'd cast on again. So as you can see, cross stitching is about as easy as it's possible for something to be. There's nothing difficult about that. It just is a case of repeating that stitch over and over and over again. And then when you come to a different color, you cast off. You pull 2 threads of, goodness, we nearly had tea everywhere there. 2 threads of the next color through. And we start again. So has anybody got any questions about that? As I say, there's no right or wrong. There's only the way you do it. Oops. Anybody got any questions? I can see there's 6 people there, so, you know, feel free, ask your questions. It might be that you watch this and don't understand something and want to ask later. Feel free. I am more than happy to answer any questions. If I don't get back to you immediately, it's normally because I'm in the middle of something, but I will get back to you as quickly as I can do. So I'm just going to sit here and do this bit of thread until it's finished. Anybody wants to ask anything, say anything, tell me I'm wrong, feel free. I actually think the sun is coming out here in Cumbria. We have a little bit of blue sky. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the screen and the comments and the sewing. So forgive me if I miss anything. No, I don't think I've missed anything. Just pulled my thread through by mistake. There we go. Okay, so it's just me on here now. Okay, no worries. Okay. Thanks for, oh, there aren't any. Okay. Oh, well, didn't want that up there anyway. Got a little knot in my thread. Oops. Oh, knots in threads. Very annoying. Right, well, I'm guessing no one's interested anymore, so I'm going to shoot off. So thanks for joining me. For those of you who were here to support me, I'm very grateful. Thank you. Have a lovely day, everybody, and I hope this is of use to some people. Take care. Bye.